Today's guest is Gary Mahabir. And if you think age slows you down, this man will politely prove you wrong by outlifting you, outthinking you, and outlasting you. He's 54, built like a tank, trains like a fighter, and somehow still has the emotional range to talk about self love and existentialism. We've got mutual friends in the New York City gym scene. We've shared beers watching the World Cup. And one time, we shared a hotel bed at a Perform Better fitness conference. That's a long story. He's coached at some of the most iconic gyms in New York City, runs his own spot in Brooklyn, and now helps men over 40 stop pretending they're 25 and train for who they are today. Gary has wisdom, humor, and maybe some controlled violence. So let's get into it. What's up, Gary? It's nice to talk to you again.
Thank you for that intro. That might be the best intro I've ever had. A spot on intro, honestly.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, man. It's good to get recognized for the body of work that you made, and like sum it up, right? It's cool, man. We don't hear that often.
Yeah, you're right. And I used to have a mentor that used to say recognition. Men die for it and babies cry for it. And I was much younger when I knew him, and it's true. And it doesn't matter how old you get. Everybody wants a little bit of recognition or some recognition for the things that they've done. So yes, you're correct.
All right. So you've been training for over 45 years. What first sparked your passion for fitness?
I started when I was about 10 years old is when I really dedicated myself to changing my body and my life, and I didn't know at the time that I was actually connecting to something that was going to become my entire identity. But I was a chubby growing up as a child. I wasn't overweight per se, like obese, but I was a little on the chubby side. Of course, I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, and we are notoriously relentless in making fun of people, particularly in the 1970s. It was, it still is sort of a thing. We call that peakong. When you make fun of somebody, you give them peakong. And so, as a child, people would make like comments like he's a little chubby and blah, blah, and whatnot. And so it wasn't a major, at the time, I didn't think it was a major thing, detrimental to me, but I do remember thinking about it in a way like, wow, like I really, like I don't want to be chubby. I want to not be that. I want to be the opposite of chubby.
So you also competed in Muay Thai for 20 years, right? And you did bodybuilding. How did those two different styles of fitness help you become a better coach?
Yeah, that's another great question. Bodybuilding is obviously the transformation of your physical self. Either you build muscle, lose fat. Build muscle, lose body fat. Most people you talk to, even the average person, would love to build muscle and lose fat in some degree. Either they want to lose more fat, they wouldn't mind building some muscle. Some people want to build a lot of muscle and lose some fat, or something in between. So those are your two mainstays of general fitness for general population people, right? And so I think bodybuilding allows you to understand the foundation of how to deliver those two products, those two variables, to the nth degree. Bodybuilding is a very extreme sport. There are not too many athletes or endeavors that require the kind of dedication and meticulous planning like bodybuilding, not to mention the mindset. So when you have either done a bodybuilding competition or have trained in a bodybuilding community, you get to see the pinnacle of those two variables, how to deliver both losing body fat and or building muscle. So I competed as a bodybuilder as an amateur, but I competed at a pretty decent level. And I feel that once I was able to get those two attributes down and understand like how to deliver those products, it allowed me to work with the majority of people that wanted to change their bodies and their lives. Muay Thai is a very different, or martial arts is a very different sport, completely the opposite. The more muscle you have, probably the more detrimental it is to you. Low body fat isn't a prerequisite to be a good fighter. So Muay Thai and martial arts is purely a skill and mental endeavor. And so you're building a skill. Learning how to do that and understanding how to coach that allows you to get insight into the psychology of people and understand how to communicate well, because bodybuilding doesn't always give you the opportunity to communicate and learn how to coach, because it's not so much a skill as it is more of a process. And so understanding the process and the skill set of how to communicate well in Muay Thai and how to break down the finer points and teach it to someone else allowed me to take those two attributes of learning how to build muscle, the practical processes, building muscle, losing body fat, and connect them. So it's what has allowed me to be able to work with almost anybody on the planet and deliver results.
Yeah, because they either want one of the two, right? Build muscle or lose fat.
Yeah. And generally people come in and go, oh, I want to feel better. Okay, well, what does that mean? And when you start to peel away the layers, you realize it's either one or both of those two things. Because if you get either one or both, you're gonna feel better. You're almost 100% going to be healthier. Yeah.
So what kind of questions do you ask people who tell you that? Because, when we did fitness assessments, we would get that question where like, oh, I just want to look better. Then you got to ask like some follow-up questions to get the root cause of their goal.
That's right. That's correct. That's exactly correct. And so that's where having an understanding of people, knowing people, having some empathy. And empathy is a word that gets thrown out. And really, I think empathy just means putting yourself in the other person's shoes. And if you see where most people are coming from, either they're too scared to try, so they're afraid, or they've tried it and failed, so now they're even more scared to try again. And so they're going to be very general, because if they start telling you all the things that they want to accomplish and what those things can bring to their lives, they're going to feel even more disappointed if they put all these goals up and then they fall short. They're going to be super disappointed. So they're gonna lowball it, right? For lack of a better word. They don't want to set their expectations too high. And if you understand that, then you'll understand that when someone says, yeah, well, I just want to feel a little better. It's not that they want to feel better. They want all these other things, and it's your job to understand that they're afraid, they're scared, they failed more than once maybe. And so they're shortchanging their abilities, and they don't trust the process. Maybe they don't trust themselves. So initially, to get them to that why, which is the thing that's going to keep them going forward when they don't want to wake up in the morning or they don't want to go out into the cold and get to the gym, the why they want to do it is the most important thing when all is said and done. So it's important to get to the whys and get deeper with people.
So how do you remind them of that? Because, let's say you're training somebody for like a month, 2 months, and then they start slowing down or they start coming up with excuses. Yeah. What do you do to remind them of their goal, of their why?
Yeah. Well, if you have the why, you keep it there. But it's natural for people, people aren't going to be motivated infinitely. Nobody does that. Very few people do it. Maybe Olympic athletes, the highest athletes do that, but we're not talking about the highest level of people. C-suite executives, those people are driven. As a coach, you have to understand the personality of the people that you're working with, or the person. Everybody's going to be different, and it's your job as a coach to have a profile and to know what motivates people. One good practical thing I do is I ask people, how do you like to be communicated to and with? Are you visual? Do you like things in writing? Do you want me to talk to you? Do you need me to give you a pep talk? Or do you need me to be sensitive? Asking people what their communication style is a big deal. It's a big part of the process. If someone's motivation is going to wane, you go, hey, or it's starting to wane, you go, hey, remember when you said this to me? I just want to send you this picture, just to show you you're this close and you're almost there, so keep going. So maybe it's a visual thing, maybe it's a pep talk, maybe it's a voice message. And so, finding all these different ways people communicate and how they like to be communicated with is a big part of it, and that's what I like to use. So people aren't on a linear trajectory to a success. It's never gonna be that way. So when I sit with people, I go, if we have a 6-month plan, I go, here's what's gonna happen. I try to map it out. Of course, I'm not trying to give them a nocebo to suggest things. I'm going to say, here's what we see. We see people start off really great first 4 weeks, and then week 6 they're starting to get progress, and then week 8 they're starting to see real good progress, and then they start to feel good, and then they start to relax a little bit, and then they start to slack a bit, and so we see a little drop off. I said that's going to be so we're gonna write in a week where we do a deload week, where it's decided on, and because we're making a decision that you're going to back off a little bit, we're being powerful and proactive about giving them a little break to mentally recharge and then we're gonna get them back in. So it's also a good psychological strategy to together set up, knowing that they're gonna fall off a little bit, set up a week or a couple of days where they get to back off before they actually drop off, and then set them up, because we need some valleys, or we need some dips to catapult them back up again. Yeah, so it's never gonna be linear, but it's gonna be like up, a little dip, up, a little dip. You know what I mean? So strategically, it's I think that works really well.
Okay. Cool. That's a good strategy, man. All right. So you said you focus on men over 40 and C-suite executives. What's the first conversation you usually have with a guy who says, I feel stuck and my lower back hurts, or I'm just spinning my wheels, or what?
If someone comes in to me like that, I generally know the general complaints. I mean, you get to be 40, 40, 45. You're not 50 yet, but you're getting there. When you've been through that path, you kind of know what most men are going to experience. So you have foresight. But when someone says that's a general problem, but I need to get to what does that mean to them? So this is coming back down to the why. Someone says, I feel like my back is starting to hurt me. I feel like I'm falling off a little bit, or I gained like 15 pounds. Okay, but what does that mean to you? Does that mean that your spouse or your significant other is looking at you differently? They're not attracted to you anymore, and so that makes you feel less of a man? It lowers your confidence. And now, does that translate to when you go to the boardroom? Does your suit fit you differently, and you feel like you're not at your best, so your performance starts to falter? I don't know. Everybody's going to be different. So, but if you can get to what does that mean, the general conversation, the general problems are there, but there are specific outcomes that manifest for each person. And what is the impact? Why does this matter to you? And if we can get to that, then that's going to be gold. And that's going to be the thing that will keep them moving forward and keep them in the program.
A good strategy. I like how you like to get to the why, right? You're getting to the why.
Right? Yeah, the why is specific. The why, we're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with individuals. A lot of, and this comes to a little bit of sales as well. People aren't buying necessarily practically, but they're buying from an emotional standpoint. So something has to mean something to them. And either if they buy a Mercedes-Benz, well, that's social status that makes them feel important. But if they get their bodies right, well, that means that they're actually taking care of themselves, and that gives them also a boost of confidence, and it means that they get looked up to. Their spouse loves them more, or their kids think that they're role models. I mean, if you have kids, or someone who has kids, the most important thing I think for the majority of men and women is that the kids think that they're role models, or they look up to them. Nobody wants to be looked down on by your children. So that is, as an individual, it's like the most important thing. You have to get to that.
How did you learn all this? Like, because you're looking at it deeply. Like, you're not just looking at the surface level stuff. It's like I feel like you read about psychology, or you studied it more than most.
Well, I mean, look, I've been professionally training for 30 years. This year will be 30 years as a qualified professional. I've done it for longer, but as a qualified professional, I've done it. So I have the distinct or unique accolade of having time in the market. And I love what I do. Like, I have an extreme passion about it. It's part of who I am. It's what I see myself doing for who knows how long, forever. So over the years, I've come across many different genres and many different things in books, and I've met a lot of people. And the truth is, I read a lot, but I know people that read way more than me. But my superpower is I have self-awareness. And when I feel something or I reflect on something, then I know I can connect that to somebody else. And I can also pick up on other people's, like I'm aware enough to go, like, what is this person saying when they say to me, they don't feel like themselves. So I have a couple of things. I have my self-awareness, which I think is one of my superpowers. I have the ability to read people, to be intuitive. And I do a fair amount of reading, and I kind of look and see, okay, what are the big blocks that we need to put on, that we need to add to make what I do more successful and get a better outcome. So it's a combination of things, but self-awareness is a big deal. Reading and information is another thing. But it isn't just about knowledge. You have to be intuitive. Learning how to be intuitive is a big part of that.
Cool, man. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I like, because I do a lot of reading myself and try to figure out the psychology of it. I haven't been doing that much training for the past 5 years, but now I see the difference to the training when I first started like being a trainer.
Yeah.
And then like if I actually I'm gonna start training somebody next week just because I want to get back into it and just just help somebody.
Yep.
So I'm looking at it differently now, and I wish I knew some of the stuff I knew now that I back then, right?
100%, 100%. And I talk to people now and I go like, when we first started, we were doing bench presses and bicep curls and it was all about the muscle and specifically, particularly for the age group and the demographic that I work with now, it's even more important. But I say to people, I said, we used to do it backwards. I said, we started with the external side of people, muscles and looking good and narcissistic side of it. But really, for most people, when they come in, they want to get tiny, tiny wins. So if you can show someone how to breathe and they had a really rough day at work, regardless of the age group or the demographic, you show someone how to do a nice breathing technique and they get to calm down and they de-stress and then you stretch them maybe, or you have a little light movement and you show them how to be mobile, create circulation and get those muscles working again. And then they leave and they go like, oh my God, I feel so great. I feel better than when I came in. That's a huge win. What we used to do was we would crush someone with bench presses or bicep curls and we go like, all right, force reps, negatives. And so we put that person deeper inroads into recovery now. So not only are they stressed, but they're physically smashed. And we think that's a great place to start for them. And it's not. It's not. So I agree with you 100%. And I rethink everything now. Well, I've rethought everything for a while because I saw as serendipitously as my demographic shifted, and I shifted, then I was able to see how do I create the biggest impact to this person's life. It isn't a bicep curl. Maybe it's a breathing technique. Maybe it's sometimes I've even had people come in and they just for 20 minutes they just get off something off their chest. And I know we're not therapists, we're not gonna do that, but it's intricately intertwined, the psyche, the psychological to the physical. And if I can get someone like get that off their chest in 20 minutes and they go, oh, great, the next 40 minutes we're gonna work, the session is hugely different. So it's learning how to do that and understanding that the role that you play in guiding people to what they need is huge.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're totally right. All right, so you've lived in Trinidad, the UK, Brooklyn. You've had your own business and you worked at a bunch of different gyms.
Yep.
What did it feel like starting from scratch or starting being the new trainer at a gym or a different country,
I don't know, but how much time do we have? How much time do we have? I think we only have an hour. That's another great question because now we're not just talking about the X's and the O's and the nuts and bolts. We're talking about personality. We're talking about psychology, the mindset. We're talking about understanding self-worth, which is why like I talk about existentialism and who am I? What's my purpose? So starting over is huge and everybody's gonna be different. But I started over what feels like 3 times already. If you grow as a human being, starting over is easier and easier. When I moved to America, that was hard, very, very hard. I moved here in 1991. I started personal training in 1995. I didn't feel like I belonged in America until about 1998, 99. So we're talking about 7-8 years. I'm an immigrant. I speak English, but I don't really speak English. We're talking Trini slang. So you think everybody's hearing you differently and you speak funny. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So that was like my first start over process. I discovered I could train and make a living. And then when I started doing Muay Thai, the Muay Thai community, I developed lifelong friends that were instrumental in changing my life, my trajectory about who I was and who I believed I could be. And they gave me something to make me stay in America. And that was huge. And then I moved to England and then I had a relationship, didn't work out. I came back. Starting over was significantly different. When I went to England, it was terrible. It was a terrible experience. I was grateful for it. I am grateful for it, but it wasn't an easy experience. But what it taught me what I knew. It taught me self-value because my resume was fantastic when all people in England saw what I was doing. They were notoriously behind us in terms of training, probably about 10 years. So my resume was pretty stellar. When I got there, I saw how people were looking at me, and that gave me my self-worth. And I was able to train, and I was able to find a great brother and sister team in a very small town in England. Picture this, living in New York City for more than a decade. You have the greatest city in the world. And I moved to a small town in England, in the northeast of England, called Norwich. It's actually smaller than that. A place called Long Stratton in Norwich. It's actually smaller than Long Stratton. A place called Dis, right? DIS. And I had to give out flyers in a neighborhood. And then the brother and sister team who had just opened a gym saw my flyer. I had a shirtless flyer, and I was like, I don't want to put this out. This is like kind of tacky. But they saw I was like pretty physical. I was jacked. They brought me in. They're like, look, we've never seen this resume ever in this small town, 200 miles from London. And so when I started to work for them, they saved my life in a way. They saved my life. I helped them, but they saved my life too. And that gave me my self-worth. So when I moved back to the States in 2007, starting at a big club, I was like, okay, I'm golden. I'm good. Like I know what I know. I was not young at the time. I was 37. So I had age, maturity, some wisdom, but I had the benefit of understanding what my worth in the industry was. So every time you start over, you kind of feel like, okay, this kind of sucks, but you're a little bit better off if you've evolved as a human being. Acceptance is key. Accepting how good you are without being boastful is important. You know, there's a fine line, but you have to go like, I'm a good trainer. I can do that. Like I know it. Like I'm good. And being able to say that and accept it is a big part of being able to start over.
Good. That's good. Good wisdom there. Yeah, because you gotta. For me, you have to be confident in yourself that when shit hits the fan or you're up against the wall, that you're gonna come through. And I've done that here. You know, like just to traveling or just moving here.
Yeah.
Right?
But you do it.
I have no choice but to do it. So, and I have confidence that I can do it. So,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't seem that big of a risk because I'll do it. It just, you know, it's gonna be hard. But
Right, it's gonna be hard, right? Anything worthwhile is doing is gonna be hard. But think about this, right? And I'm gonna throw that back to like there are practical things you do, right? Like I think competence, if you put the time in and worked and developed your chops, competence breeds confidence, right? If you're competent and you've done the work, you're gonna have a certain level of confidence. And then if you kind of break it down, you go like, well, what's the worst thing? If you can be systematic and go, all right, of all these things now, if I want to do this, what's the worst things that can happen? And you list that down. Like I know people do that. I've done that many times. And you go like, well, if this happens, I could deal with this. If this happens, I could deal with this. And you kind of go to more pros and cons. Then it leans towards, I can do this thing, and I'm competent, and I'm competent. And so my question to you, and this is where existential purpose and understanding where things come from. Don't you feel like there's also a place of like knowing, like an inherent knowing feeling, if you will, that you kind of go, well, you go into some things, you go like, well, like I know I could do that. I don't know exactly how, but I could look at it and go like, I know I could do that. Like, what do you feel like you had that?
yeah, I wasn't scared, or I also thought about the feeling of what's the worst thing that can happen. Yeah, I think I've read that somewhere through Tim Ferriss. I think said it. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
All right, you get lost or you lose the money, but you know you'll still be fine. You're alive. You got 2 feet. You got 2 hands. You got 2 eyes. Right. The most important thing is you got your family. You got your health. Even all the traveling I did, going country that I don't know anybody. I'll just self-reliant that I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out somehow.
Yeah. I call that living in the field of knowing. There's an infinite field in the universe that you can just reach out. And I know a lot of artists talk about this, where they pluck things. They know it's there. You just have to be open to it, and you exist in the field of knowing. Like I know that'll work out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's confidence, and you figured out tough things in the past. So
yes,
this is just another tough thing that you have to figure out.
And when you've done hard things in your life, it gives you evidence of what you can do. And that's why I think it's important for younger people to do tough things and develop a resume of doing tough things, because it's your evidence that you can continue to do it. Whatever comes your way, you'll be fine.
Yeah, man. True. All right, I got another question for you. All right, so now you're also training people online, right? Mm-hmm. What's the difference between online training, face to face? And how are you getting your online clients?
Wow, those are all great questions. That's like an entire episode. Online training is unique. It's very rewarding. And so I had dabbled, this is all pre-COVID, I had dabbled with online training initially. And then when COVID hit full blown, like most people, we had to figure out how to do business, or you switch business entirely. And I wasn't prepared to do that. I wasn't prepared to give up. So I got online full time. And so my verdict is it was something coming. And I think that it's, adversity happens. It's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. And so I think it was a blessing in many ways, not just for me, but for a lot of people, because a lot of clients, people that currently train online, either remotely or via an app or some program, has benefited significantly. And I had done the research, and in my talks I give people, I said, when you look at these industry numbers, they talk about like it's only 19% of the entire population that have gym memberships. Right, 19%. So you've got another 81% of people who aren't doing anything for various reasons. And so what online training did was it allowed the ones that maybe who would never have stepped foot in a gym or a fitness facility to dabble and come into the fold and try to do something for their bodies. And I think that's significant. That's a huge deal, because anytime you get more people to take care of their bodies, then you're going to be good. So I had dabbled in fitness, and then COVID hit, and then I did that. And so there's a learning curve that has to happen, because learning how to communicate online is key. When you're in person, you're hands-on, and I want you to do this. I'm going to show you what I want in person, then I'm going to fix you. And you no longer have the luxury of being tactile. So it requires that you have to be able to communicate, and it requires you to really develop a coach's eye. And I have a mentor, Coach Cav, who talks about the coach's eye all the time. He works with high-level Olympic athletes and NFL football players. And the coach's eye is something that a lot of people don't give enough credit to or enough attention to. But we're talking the ability to see something that isn't always related to what you're looking at. And so, right? And so you see someone's knee in valgus, and you go, okay, well, there's obviously something going on with your. But then you kind of go, well, maybe it's not the hip, maybe it's something else with the core or the ankle. Sort of like how we troubleshoot fitness movement patterns. So developing that coach's eye becomes even more important when you're looking at someone on a camera, and you have to really ascertain what's happening. And then you have to be able to verbalize it. So if you're not clear, if you're using too many words, if you're giving too many cues, you can confuse someone. So the communication process is significantly different, and I think you really have to become a really good coach in being able to communicate, but also being able to know what things feel like via the camera. Like, you have to look at someone and go like, I see that position, does that hurt? And they go, yeah, actually, now that you're saying that, it actually hurts. I go, okay, I can see that that's going to hurt you, so we need to switch that. So it's very different from online coaching, but at the same time, I love that it allows you to have access to people more. They're in the comfort of their own home or their own gym. They're on their own time. They don't have to worry about commuting. Nobody wants to spend 45 minutes on a train just to get to a session for 1 hour and then head back. So the accessibility, the convenience, those, and the ease in which you can do business is to me is unsurpassed. Because you could be in Bali and you can coach someone in New York City. That to me is amazing. So geography gets eliminated. So people have access to your expertise. So we no longer have to go, oh yeah, I wish I could come to your gym. And you go like, well, guess what? You don't have to. You're like, word, what do I do? And like, oh, here's the process. You sign up here, you do this, you can do this. I can work this program out for you, and you can do it at your own time, and you check it. To me, that's golden. And the last thing that I like is that you can have a bigger impact as a coach, because one-on-ones are fantastic, but it's just one person. Of course, you have small group if you do like 4 to 6. But when you coach online, you can take on as many people as you can ethically and competently handle. And if 50 is your number, 50, then that's better than 10. It's 40 more people's lives you can change. So that's to me there are more benefits to online coaching than there is. Or there are than one-on-one. To me, it's hard. They're two different products, but in my opinion, overall, I think online coaching is far more accessible and beneficial to the majority of people. If you're a higher level a client and you need more attention, you need more specific stuff, and you want to go deep, yes, one-on-one is great. Small group training, yes, But if you're the average person or you generally just want to get in shape, I think online training is significantly more beneficial, at least to start.
Oh yeah, true. And how are you getting your online clients? Is it mostly referrals or email outreach or what?
I do a little bit of both. In fairness, in full disclosure, I am not a social media juggernaut. I'm 55 almost, right? And I'm not gonna use that as an excuse. But I generally don't. I was not a natural adopter of social media, and so I am currently working to work social media. I am also more of like I just want to work. I don't want to show my work online, and it's also difficult. I'm a business of one at the moment, so when I'm working with someone, I'm not filming it and I'm not collecting content. So that's still a work in progress for me. I get most of my business from referrals. I do good work with someone, they refer someone else to me. I do some outreach, not nearly enough. So currently I like collaboration. So if you're doing something, Hector, the training notebook, which I love, and you go, hey, like I have this project, I want you to help me with this project. I love doing collabs. I am notoriously a creative thinker. I am an ideas man. I have trouble following through the entire project from start to finish. I'm not that kind of person. That's not where I'm my best at. I am really good at getting good ideas, and I'm really good at being like on and crushing it. And then I need to kind of do the other. I don't need to, but then I go to the other thing. Whereas if you're building something, you have to stay in it and you have to build it till you're done, and then you have to nurture it, and then you have to stay in it until it starts to mature, and then right. So I know my self-awareness brings me to my shortcomings, and that's why I love collaborations. So yeah.
Yeah, we got to work on this. Maybe we could work together more on this, because
100%. I'm on board.
Because it's I've been doing this by myself, and I got my brother helping me with the UI UX, like the design of the app.
Yeah.
And I got my sister helping a little bit with the social media.
Okay.
And because I'm currently reinvesting into the app, where pretty much putting all my money I got into rebuilding the whole thing from scratch. So it's like brand new technology and adding some extra features that are currently not in other apps. Like I'm adding habit tracking. So let's say you have a client and they have an app, you have an app, and you tell them drink 8 cups of water per day. And then they check it off, done, sleep 8 hours, do cardio 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I'm adding is tracking your numbers, like the trainer's numbers. Let's say you want to make $100,000 a year. So that equals to charging X amount of money per session, doing X amount of sessions per month. Back in the day at Equinox, we used to have a meeting with the manager to figure out how many sessions to do per week, per month, to hit your goals, right? So I think that's one thing trainers don't do, is track their sessions, how much money they're gonna make, how much money they're projected to make, stuff like that. So that's a couple of new features we're adding to the app, and hopefully get launched in 5 to 6 weeks. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I can't wait to see it. But listen, I got 2 things to say. One is, I remember when you first started, you used to help me with social media. Remember we were checking, and you would give me my posts. So I know where you came from, and we had talked about the things I was not great at, and you introduced me to social media and how to do it. You actually did that. So, kudos to you. I want to give you full credit for that. Not put me on a path to where I'm much better than I used to be. I know a lot about social media. I just don't always do a great job at doing it, right? Knowing is only half of it. Is what you do. It's not what you know. So you did that for me. And so I've watched you grow, and I've watched the app grow, and that says a lot about who you are and what and how you think. The second part of that is you talked about meeting with trainers, actually doing projections and making more money. And the truth is, most trainers, because of the way this business is set up, there's sort of a low barrier to entry. And you could have someone with a good body who wants to be a trainer who could do well, but they're not business people. And I would say the majority of trainers that currently kind of go in and out through the revolving door of personal training are not business people. And they don't exercise best business practices. And so, but there are a lot of good trainers who want to do that, don't know where to go, or end up spending a lot of money doing things that they don't need for purchasing either courses or doing trainings that they don't need. So I agree with you on that, and I think trainers would be better off spending some time getting the business basics down, and I think that is a huge market for that. And they don't have to go to college to do it, and they don't have to go to Wharton Business School. They just simply need to know what they need to know and do it savagely and consistently, and income will grow. So I agree with you on that, 100%.
What are you working on now? Coaching, speaking, any big moves you want the listeners to know about?
I'm coaching. I'm open for business. As they say, my open sign is up, is turned. I am online. Unless you're in New York City and you want to work with me one-on-one, which is always great, but it requires scheduling. But I'm online. People can find me on Instagram at Mahabir Gary. Instagram, that's my Instagram handle. It's pretty simple, Mahabir Gary. My online coaching, once they reach out to me, I can send them a link to my online coaching program. And I have a few different programs. People go month to month with me. I do a 3-month minimum. And the reason why I do a 3-month minimum for my beginning coaching programs is that because it takes about 4 weeks for someone to really be ingrained into my culture, to get some momentum. If they've never done online training, they have to learn how to be accountable. And a lot of people think, well, coaching is just exercises. I'm like, no. Coaching is accountability. It means you show up, you do what you're supposed to do. And if you don't do it, you say you don't do it. Or if you did it, you say I did it. And then we talk about it. And then we make tweaks along the way. And so there's accountability and there's communication. So it takes a little while for someone to get ingrained into that culture and understand what this is going to take. It doesn't mean you have to go to the gym with me every day, but it does mean that you have to invest some of your energy and focus into this process. Too many people think like, okay, well, I'm just going to give you a program, or they're going to do some exercise and then voila, your body is going to change magically. 1 hour of exercise or whatever the exercise is. But you know, which is why you've put in things like habits and so on into the program, is that it's a constant 24/7. Did I sleep enough? Did I drink enough water? Did I get some mental relaxation? All of those things. Did I go grocery shopping? Do I have the food that I need to eat in the house? Or am I going to have to walk past the pizza place on the way while I'm hungry and grab a slice? So people have to understand that they have to be invested in their future. It isn't like you go out, you buy a pair of jeans and then you have the satisfaction of the jeans. Changing the body requires work, for lack of a better word. It's a 4-letter word, but it's simple, but it's hard, and they have to be invested in the process to making the hard work become normal work. Like, you can normalize work. People go to work every day. They have jobs, right? They brush their teeth every day. They take showers every day. You can normalize hard work. It can become part of your life. In fact, your body and your mind wants it. If life were easy, nothing good would happen. So it takes about 3 months. So my coaching programs are minimum 3 months, and then I have longer coaching programs. And then once they email me or direct message me, I give them the options. We have a conversation, and then we start. That's as simple as that. A quick message, Mahabir Gary at Instagram, or Gary at Mahabir Fitness. That's my email. Once you shoot me that message, I get you on board. We talk about what fits what you need. We have a conversation about that. It's a quick 20-minute conversation, and then we decide like where do you need to fit into the online training. Outside of that, I'm open for business for training. I do guest speaking. I do seminars. When fitness meets life, your life, then you get love. You get love of self. And so my entire presentation is not just about fitness, but it's also how do you become a better person. And I don't want to say just a better person. How do you become a more complete person as it pertains to your fitness journey and all the magic that comes out of it, and also all the difficulties. People don't talk about the challenges. But it's like we talked about earlier, if we don't talk about that period where you're going to drop off in motivation or you're going to backslide, then when it hits you, it's this big shock. I like to look at, hey, I'm 55, almost 54, but here's what we see, and here's what you can expect, or here's what it can show up, and here's what we do to fix that, or here's what we do to make that a beautiful process that you get something out of it. Because it's not just inherently bad. Things aren't inherently bad. There are two sides. You can't have one without the other. You can't have a peak without a valley. And so too many people think of it as binary. Too many people think about fitness as a pass or fail. Oh, I suck, oh, I'm really great. No, you can suck and you can be great at the same time. You have to suck a little bit before you can get good. It's not binary. Two sides of the same coin. So my talks are all about that and how do you crush your fitness goals.
Okay, good man. That's pretty cool that you got into speaking.
Yeah, I didn't think it. I tried. Here's what happened. I tried writing and I sucked at writing.
Oh, dude,
So I
I saw
decided,
you
you
got
know
a lot
what?
of articles on LinkedIn.
I do. I spend quite a bit of time on LinkedIn because that's my professional platform. So I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. You get a lot of my stuff on LinkedIn. LinkedIn provides me the easiest platform for me to navigate my writing skills. And I think I suck at writing. Let me just say it. I'm not great at writing, but I also don't enjoy that much. But I prefer to speak and I like to speak and I like to engage that way. So I try writing first and I realized it's not joyful for me. Speaking is joyful.
And I saw that you went to hang out with Coach Kevin Deneen,
Yeah,
like a month ago or so.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
he's having his conference in St. Louis, which is pretty cool, right?
Enjoy. Are you gonna go?
Well, I don't know.
We should talk
It's
about
pretty
it.
far. Yeah, I
Come
gotta.
on.
Well, because the thing is, like, I'm focusing on the app. I gotta make sure
Yeah,
the app gets launched.
I understand.
Once I get the app launched, then I could do other things because I can't travel. I can't really do anything fun because I can't focus on that building the app. And it's pretty much a one man team. So
So
if
let me ask:
I,
Is this
yeah,
is this self-imposed? Have you put self-imposed limitations that you says I have to get this done and then I can do this?
yes, yeah,
That was a decision.
yeah. But
Awesome.
it's a decision that I know myself, so I know I
Yep.
have to do this. Because if I don't do this,
Understood.
I'm gonna not focus on the main thing. I gotta keep
Understood.
the main thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get you. No, it's like the scene from The Matrix. The Matrix is one of my favorite movies. But there's a scene where the Oracle. You go into the Oracle's kitchen and she has this plaque that says "Know thyself." To me, it's one of the most profound things of life. Know thyself. So I respect that. Here I am trying to distract you and tell you take a trip.
Yeah.
See, I
Oh
told you. I
no,
warned
man.
you.
It's hard. It's like I got friends of mine traveling all over the world here, and but I'm like, no, I gotta just stay here and just do this. That's it.
Well, to be fair, you have done a fair amount of traveling over the last couple of years. I have to be honest.
The highlight was Antarctica
I
and
saw that. I remember that.
and
I remember that.
Egypt, the pyramids.
Yeah.
Going inside the pyramid, that was pretty
Uh
crazy.
huh.
It was
Okay.
it was kind of claustrophobic because it's this tunnel that's I think like 35, and you just go, and there's big giant rocks on top of you. You can't run out. Just thinking about it gets
I'd
me a
like
little.
I'd like to make that trip, and
Yeah.
that they have all these new discoveries about the pyramids in Giza, and they
Oh
have
yeah,
like
I
things
saw
going
that.
down into the earth. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Egypt is amazing, so I'd like to make that trip at some point in my lifetime.
yeah, definitely got to go. All right, let's finish up with overrated or underrated. I got a couple things
All
for you.
right,
You tell me.
shoot.
Try to keep it short because I know you got to go. All right, overrated, underrated, testosterone, TRT, testosterone therapy,
Underrated,
underrated.
underrated.
Have you ever tried it or thought about it?
Not yet, not yet. I have blood work coming up this year. My blood work was okay last year. I had some significant changes this year, so we'll have a look at it. It's not off the table for me, and I have no qualms telling people that I would consider it.
Well, I did it once here in Bali. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, because I had like a knee inflammation problem
Yep.
or
Yep.
something, right? So I was out of commission for like almost 3 months because I had some allergic reaction to some medicine. So I had
Right.
what do you call it? Infection. I don't know, some kind of infection on my knee, right? So then I couldn't work out.
Yep.
So and then I got my blood work done. It was around my TR testosterone levels were like 200, and so then
So
I
it was pretty
did
much tanking.
TRT.
That's pretty low.
Yeah, it was tanking.
Yes,
So I
tanking.
did TRT. I did PRP, plasma replacement therapy, also on my knee, and then I did like TRT for like 3 months, I think. And
How
then
did you
during that
feel?
time, well, I timed everything. So
Mm-hmm.
I did the TRT. I was, my injury was gone, and I was working out for like those 3 months. I think I worked out every day except for 10 days for 3 months straight because I knew I had to take advantage of the fact that I'm
Sure.
doing the TRT, right? So
Yeah.
my nutrition was on point, working out was on point, programming was on point. So that's probably like one of the fittest I ever got.
and most jacked
So I
athletes.
should be asking you, overrated or
Yeah.
underrated?
I
Thumbs
say
up.
underrated. I say
You say
underrated.
underrated.
You should definitely try it if your testosterone levels are low.
All right.
All right.
So we agree.
Ice bath, overrated or underrated?
Ooh, tricky one. I say depends. It really depends. I think it's great when it's great, and I think it's great for some people. And if the circumstances are right, it's great. The immune system is can tolerate it. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. I like a nice cold shower. I do a little contrast therapy in the showers most days. Not most days. I have my periods. Sometimes I don't do it. Some cycles I don't, meaning phases. So it depends. It really depends on each person, and I think it has to be taken with a grain of salt. I think so many things in fitness. The answer is it depends. Like it, I think it's great, but if it doesn't apply to you, then it'll go the opposite way. So take it with a grain of salt.
I think it's properly rated. I mean, but I don't think enough people do it. I know there's like things that happen to the body if you do it, but I think what I like about it just makes you mentally tough.
Yeah.
That if you could
Says the ex-Marine.
Yeah, Navy. Yeah,
Navy.
yeah, man, make you tough.
Sorry, Navy. Yeah, of course
actually,
you say that.
I don't know if you've seen my ship, the Truman. My ship was the Truman. That's the one on the news nowadays.
Yeah.
Two planes fell off the flight deck.
Yeah, I didn't go into details. I didn't want to know.
All right, fitness conferences and seminars. Overrated, underrated?
It depends. It depends on where you are in your fitness journey. I think if you're starting off and you're building your knowledge base, this is classic. Yes, conferences are great because you get a nice introduction to everything and you get to see people that you like, speakers that you like. But as you get deeper into the field and you become better, you have to go deeper. So the thing that I would do is I would do fitness conference, but at some point it starts to lose. Not necessarily, the community is still great because you meet good friends. You and I both know that. But the information is still surface level. So once you decide what you like and who you like as a speaker and topics, then you have to go deep. And so I would say that people as trainers coming up, I would say once you identify that and you know where you want to be, what niche you want to work in, follow those people and try to go as deep as you can. So reach out to them, say, hey, can I intern with you? How do I get more information? Try to go as deep as you can. If you're a Stuart McGill person, try to go as deep as you can. Reach out to Stu, reach out to all his people that teach, and go as deep as you can. So fitness conferences, yes, but at some point you have to go deeper.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it's great. It was great to go, and I wish more trainers went. Because I remember when we went from our gyms, not that many people went. So I think
not many people went, exactly.
Yeah, I think the serious trainers who are hungry for knowledge and are driven to become better trainers and help people figure out ways to help people better, go to these events. And
yes.
Yeah, like if I was in New York or in the States, I would totally go to Kevin's conference.
100%.
Yeah. So
I
now
agree.
I gotta figure it out now.
Yeah, no, but I agree. So I wasn't even talking, I agree with you. So I think everybody should go to fitness conference. Yes, all trainers should go, more trainers should go.
Okay, all right, that's it. I know you gotta go, but thanks for doing this.
Man, we gotta do it again. Anytime. We could do a part 2 anytime you want. I'm around, and for you.
Yeah, these are just conversations and talking shop, catching up.
Next time I'll have a beer. We'll do the afternoon. It'll be after 5, and I'll have myself a beer.
All right. Yeah, actually, I had a Bintang.
Bintang, there we go.
Yeah, that's the.
I have my Bintang shirt. Someone brought me back one from Bali a couple of years ago. But it's after 5 your time in Bali, and it's not even 10 a.m. my time, and I'm still working. So there's no beer for me at the moment.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, man. It's too early.
Well, today is too early. It's never too early, but today it is.
If it was the weekend, right?
Yeah, it's the weekend. I'm driving my son. I have soccer practice with my son. At some point, I have to be somewhat coherent and safe. So yeah.
All right, Gary. Take care. Have a good day.
Talk to you later, my friend. Bye.